The Galactic Republic and the Galactic Empire, the most well-known forms of government in the Star Wars galaxy. Today, we will be pairing them against each other to see who can come out on top. We will be using the Empire during A New Hope before the destruction of the Death Star, and the Republic during Revenge of the Sith before Order 66. I will be including non-canon information, because canon sources lack the figures we need to come to a proper conclusion. Starting off, let's dive into the Republic and see what their military looks like. The Galactic Republic was a coalition of planets formed in 25,000 BBY. With Coruscant as its capital, the Ecumenopolis was home to most of the Republic's politics. By the time of 25 BBY, the Republic had control over 1.3 million planets, making them the controlling interest in the galaxy. This doesn't necessarily add to their fighting chances, but it helps build scale. The Republic's troops were clones of the bounty hunter Jango Fett created by the Kaminoans. The exact numbers for the amount of clones commissioned by the Republic is not known officially, but we do know that a total of 3 million units were made. It is never stated how many clones a unit actually is, but it can't just be one clone. Surely they didn't fight a galaxy-wide conflict with only 3 million troops. I highly doubt that's the case. With all the overhead that the Kaminoans spent on these clones, raising them for 10 years, training, and feeding them daily, I can absolutely see the smallest unit available for purchase being a number a lot higher than a single clone. Lama Su also uses the words unit and battalion synonymously when referring to the clones, so that helps us out a bit. A clone battalion is 576 clones, so assuming a unit is equal to a battalion, we get a total of 1.8 billion clones. Definitely more reasonable for a galaxy-wide conflict than just a measly 3 million. Of the 1.8 billion clones commissioned, around 10,000 were Republic commandos. These are highly trained clones and significantly more deadly than your average clone. They are well known for their absolutely sick armor. They are also known for doing covert operations, including sabotage and assassinations. Think of them as the Navy SEALs of the Republic. As for other specialized troopers, we have ARC troopers. ARC stands for Advanced Recon Commandos. The difference between ARC troopers in canon and Legends varies greatly. In the Legends continuity, there are only 106 ARC troopers, and they were specifically made for that position. To quickly summarize who they were, there were two classes of ARC troopers. The Null troopers were the first clone troopers ever created. They were genetically superior to a regular clone with enhanced strength and intelligence. Only 6 of the 12 survived the incubation process. They were deemed too independent and unpredictable, so they ended up being decommissioned. The next class was the Alpha class trooper, consisting of 100 troopers who were personally trained by Jango Fett himself. They were more obedient and loyal to the Republic, so they were active soldiers, unlike their predecessors. How are they different in canon, you might ask? In canon, ARC is more of a position rather than a type of trooper. The ARC troopers in the Clone Wars series retcon the Legends material by making any trooper able to become an ARC trooper through acts of strength and valor. They are not bred or trained any differently from a young age. I'm not personally too attached to either story, but we will stick with Legends for continuity in this video. Lastly, the Republic had captains and commanders. Martial commanders were the highest ranked clones in the military, with only 40 clone commanders in the whole Republic. As for captains, they were the leaders on the battlefield, and it stated that there were 16 captains per regiment, which totals out to around 23,000 captains in the entire military. The remaining were regular clones who all scale roughly the same. There were other troops that helped the Republic on a regular basis, like individual planetary defenses and police forces, but we will only include the actual Republic military in this battle. Now that we have talked about the clones, let's get into other ground forces that the Republic has, and that's none other than the Jedi. There are around 10,000 active Jedi before Order 66. It is debated whether this number includes Masters and Padawans, or if this is Knights only. We will say this is all Jedi members, Padawans and Knights included. We also don't have a full figure for the number of Masters in the Order. We know that 12 Masters sit on the High Council, and that's not all the Jedi with the rank of Master. Let's assume that this number is as low as 1% of the Jedi. This gives us around 100 masters, which sounds like a reasonable number. As for technology that the Republic has, there's not much information to go off of here. With the information that we have, we can make some educated guesses. Later on in the video, we discuss the Empire, and we know that the Empire has 25,000 Star Destroyers in their fleet. We can safely assume that the Republic has significantly less, probably around 5,000. Any less and I wouldn't understand how they could contest in a galaxy-wide conflict. Each of the Venators held 40 gunships, so the Venators alone had around 200,000 gunships ready for battle, assuming my guesses are correct. As for individual starfighters and ATTEs, I'm not finding too much information, but as you will see coming up, I'm not sure it will do too much against the wrath of the Empire. Now let's dive into the Empire and see how their military compares. There is no official number of troops listed for the Empire, but we can get a rough estimate doing some math. The Empire is known for using less trained, conscripted soldiers in very large quantities. It sends a message to the galaxy when your oppressors are your neighbors and friends. Because of this difference between the Republic and the Empire, we will use real-world statistics to find out an estimated size of the Empire. Of Earth's population, roughly 27 million people, or 0.3%, are military personnel. We can transfer that percentage over to the Empire. The Star Wars galaxy is estimated to have 100 quadrillion beings. The number isn't exact, but that's all I could find. Using that 0.3%, we get a whopping 300 trillion, accounting for the fact that maybe not as much of a percentage of people in the Star Wars galaxy are involved in the military. We can safely remove a third for margin of error, but that number is still 100 trillion. From there, we'll cut that number in half, because I'm sure there are military forces that are not working for the Empire. Then, we can cut that number in half again, because it seems like they only hire humans in the Empire. So we can safely estimate that at least 25 trillion humans work for the Empire in some capacity. That's an absolutely stupid amount of people. Around 300,000 times the population of Earth. That is way more than enough to swarm the Jedi and outnumber the clones. As for special force troops here on Earth, around 3.5% of the world's military is considered special forces. That gives us 875 billion special forces troops. Now the definition of special forces can vary greatly, especially depending on who you listen to. The stormtroopers are seen as cannon fodder and seem borderline useless at times, but I know it has been believed that they are considered specialized troops in the Empire. This would mean that the remaining 24 trillion troopers are just random conscripted soldiers who are not high enough rank to wear their armor. We see some of this in the Solo movie, when Solo is working for the Empire. But if we think the stormtroopers are bad, I can't imagine what these guys look like. This would make a very small percentage of the special forces, death troopers, and even former Republic commandos, now known as Imperial commandos. But I'm not sure that the percentage of special forces troops that the Empire has would even make much of a difference here. As for technology, it is stated that the Imperial Navy is equipped with around 25,000 Star Destroyers. That number seems very low given the amount of troops they have, but I guess not every trooper was a part of the Imperial Navy. As for TIE fighters, each Star Destroyer carried 72 TIE fighters, giving them 1.8 million in total. We can also safely assume that they had hundreds of thousands, if not millions of AT-ATs and AT-STs on standby. But I can't find much information on those. All of this without even mentioning the Death Star. The Republic really has their hands full with this one. The sheer number of ships and troops would severely outnumber the Republic, but let's see how they match up. The Empire obviously has more troopers, starships, and the Death Star, but does that mean they can pull this one off? Probably. The clones are known for being incredibly skilled, much more than your average stormtrooper, but this still may be too much for them. The Empire has roughly 14,000 times the troops. Let's say the clones fight 75% of the troops, and the remaining 25% is left to the Jedi to take care of. This would still mean each clone would need to take down 11,000 troops each, and 625 million troopers per Jedi. I will repeat that. They would need to take down 625 million each. That is twice the population of America that every single knight and master would have to take down individually. I don't care how strong the strongest Jedi or Anakin was at that time. Not even he could handle that. To really put the military size differences into perspective, if I were to count to 1.8 billion, I would be counting for 57 years straight. But if I were to count to 25 trillion, it would take me 792,000 years. The Republic is incredibly outnumbered on this. I'm not even going to bring up technology, because we already know that the Imperial Navy absolutely collapsed the Republic. The Empire's million TIE fighters easily swallow the Republic's 200,000 gunships. And all of this that we went over doesn't even include Vader or Palpatine, or the Death Star. I mean, for God's sakes. The Death Star was blown up by a ragtag group of rebels, and the one who shot the killing blow had never even flown an X-Wing before. I'm sure that a clone pilot or even a Jedi in a starfighter could do the same. But that's if they get past the millions of TIE fighters. There is only 1 in a trillion possibilities where this goes the Republic's direction. They would need some serious planning and a good location. If the Republic's stationed on a dense planet, they could maybe have a chance. Too much open space, and they would just get mowed down. Assuming they took out the Death Star before it blew up the planet, they would need to post up and wait for the Empire to push. They would need to wait for the Empire to exhaust all their troops and need to leave to bring back more. Each Star Destroyer can carry 3,700 troops, officers, and personnel. With that amount of troops in each starship, it would take them 25 trips back and forth to bring all their troops to the battle. The Republic would have to send out a few skilled pilots to take out the Star Destroyers during each trip, hopefully slowing down the reinforcements. The ground troops would then have to hold out until the reinforcements stopped coming. We also know that the Empire's biggest weakness is the very thing that allowed a few dozen X-Wings to blow up the Death Star in the first place, and that is their overconfidence.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Your faith in your friends is yours.
They cannot even imagine losing. This is not even a possibility for them. They may get cocky and think that they have this in the bag, but somehow there's a possibility they don't send all of their troops and effort at once. Even then, I still don't see the Jedi and clones surviving. Even if they took out all the troops, Palpatine and Vader would just show up and finish them all off while they're weak. Plus, Anakin seeing Vader would definitely make his conflicted ass pause for a second, definitely long enough to get a lightsaber to the back. Realistically, the only chance the Republic has is if the will of the Force decides to intervene and brings them all to Mortis. On Mortis, Anakin would go crazy on the incoming troops. They could definitely take that fight. At the end of the day, though, this is a battle of quantity versus quality, and I guess when you're outnumbered 14,000 to 1, quantity will almost always win. This matchup was not nearly as close as I thought it was going to be. Let's see what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching today's video, and if you want to see more like this, please like and subscribe on your way out.